didn't even get my turn.
Tomorrow, Eddie, you get to make the rules. I promise.
What's going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite, and today what I have for you guys is some very interesting breaking news about the return of Richtofen within Black Ops Cold War Zombies. Now, you'll definitely want to watch this if you had assumed that Richtofen wouldn't be coming back in this game because of a TikTok you might have seen a couple of months back in which Nolan North himself confirmed that he would not be voicing Richtofen in Treyarch's new game. But we actually have a very massive hint on the Nuketown Zombies Onslaught of all things, which confirms that Eddie does exist in this Dark Ether universe and should be returning at some point in the DLC season. Definitely stay tuned. But before we jump into that, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And also be sure to use code DYNAMITE if you want to save 10% on any Control Freak orders. Their link is, of course, down below in the description. So who would have known that, out of all things, the Nuketown Zombies Onslaught would hint at the return of such a massive and fan-favorite character like Richtofen, right? You would assume that that would be teased on a cutscene or a radio or even on another Zombies map, but no, it happened in Onslaught, which is hilarious. And speaking of Onslaught, I'm not sure if you guys heard, but there is a holiday Onslaught event happening right now in Black Ops Cold War. I actually missed the announcement for it a couple of days back from Charlie Intel, but they ended up reposting the teaser trailer for the holiday Onslaught event. And what it does is it reskins all the Zombies Onslaught maps for multiplayer, of course, and it incorporates the Jingle Hells mechanics that we have on Die Maschine. So you'll see zombies and megatons with Santa hats, you'll have snowballs, presents, the naughty or nice pickups. Everything from Die Maschine Jingle Hells is now within Onslaught, and funny enough, the Jingle Hells mechanics work better in Onslaught than they actually do on Die Maschine, and here's why, right? On Die Maschine Jingle Hells, you'll notice that there's no mystery box, you can't do any Easter eggs, no side quest whatsoever, and again, with no mystery box means that you have to rely on the presents that you get from killing zombies with snowballs. When you open a present, you have a chance at getting a weapon, you know, of decent rarity. So that really doesn't work well on Die Maschine, and it really downgrades the map itself in terms of quality, replayability, but the Jingle Hells mechanics work very well over on Onslaught, since before there was no way to actually get good loot on Onslaught aside from killing the elites or the megatons. So Jingle Hells really upped the pace a little bit for Onslaught zombies. So hopefully you guys give it a shot with the new holiday playlist. If you actually kill, I think it's 25 or so zombies with snowballs, you'll also unlock a brand new blueprint for Black Ops Cold War as well. Hopefully you guys like that. But now when it comes to the return of Richtofen, this kind of shocked me because out of all things, like I said, Nuketown Zombies Onslaught hinted at this. So as you guys know, there is intel you can grab while playing Onslaught, and you can get this intel by doing random things, killing zombies, killing megatons, and I think there's 3 pieces total on Nuketown, and I actually unlocked the last piece within this gameplay you're about to see. And one of the pieces of intel is a very long letter from a mysterious character, which I'll read in a few minutes, but in the files of the game, the letter is referred to as Eddie Intel. So I'm like, wait a second, is the mysterious character in the letter actually Richtofen? Is that what's happening here? And I think without a doubt it's inevitable that Richtofen is returning at some point in the Dark Ether storyline, but it's a matter of when. Will it be the end of this game's cycle to tease the next game, or will it be, you know, DLC 2, DLC 3, maybe the end of DLC 3, kind of like a Dr. Monty reveal for the finale of this game, right, for DLC 4? Is that what's happening here? So the implications of Eddie are very interesting to me because he hasn't spoke since Origins. It's been that long. He was there in Taggart-Toten, he went through the White Light with Samantha, so he's in the rebooted universe now, but where is this Richtofen? Is he all grown up? Is he on the field working somewhere? Is he a part of a secret group like the Illuminati? You know how there's groups with Requiem and Omega? Could there be another group out there that we haven't heard of yet? Where is this Richtofen? So it's also worth pointing out that the intel being called Eddie could be a red herring. What if it's there to throw us off as a bit of a rickroll or a troll to the quote-unquote data miners out there in the community? I want to make clear that I'm just a person that reports the news. I'm not a data miner by any means, but I was told this by those that have the capability of going through the files of Black Ops Cold War. So could it be there to just throw us off, or is it actually a mistake on their part when there could be intel out there that hasn't released yet that is meant to be called Eddie, but they accidentally named this intel Eddie instead? Could it be that, or is it truly intel that is about the Eddie that we're all waiting to see? Now maybe it's one of these 3 options, right? You guys be the judge of that, but I'm very lucky I caught this about 10 minutes ago as I was editing this video. I just checked the intel in game of Black Ops Cold War Zombies just to get another look at the intel itself, right? right? A nice image of the intel. And what do you know? The description of this intel now says Eddie's hippie neighbors have given up being vegetarian. So again, maybe it wasn't a mistake that this intel has been called Eddie in the files, because the description of it mentions Eddie right there and nobody is talking about this. This just proves to you that the zombies community is in a very weird state right now, where they were used to the Black Ops 3 method of understanding story through cutscenes and these epic events, but zombies has gone back to the roots of storytelling that we had from World at War, Black Ops 1, where the story is told through radios and ciphers and these secrets like this. Nobody has looked at this intel. Just look at that. It's at the main menu of Black Ops Cold War mentioning Eddie. So when it comes to the intel itself, here's the letter. So it says, only reason I'm here is because my bandmates dumped me in the desert when I puked in the van. Fuckers can't take a joke. Anyhow, these hippies at the Nuketown Collective saved me from dying of thirst and gave me a place to crash. Notice how it said these communists, but then it changed to hippies. Kind of funny. So I guess I owe them something, for sure. They didn't deserve to go out like they did. They threw a barbecue today, which is funny because they're all vegetarians. I was playing my guitar on the other side of the house when it happened. It was weird. I don't know what it was. Looked like the air ripping open. Anyone close went glassy-eyed and just attacked, like actual murder. So he's referring to the zombie outbreak with Dark Ether portals that we see within Onslaught. And this is, of course, on Nuketown, right? Right over where Camp Eddie was within Alpha Omega. Now, here's the thing. These commune losers are pacifists. Like, yeah, fuck the government and fuck the war merchants and all, but if you go for my throat, I'm not answering with a hug. So I was the only one fighting back. All I had was my guitar, but if you ever saw one wreck an amplifier, you know why they call it an axe. So I caved in some skulls, which is not as fun as it sounds. Long story short, whatever they caught is contagious. Too many fucked up murder hippies to deal with, so I ran back to my room. I hear them outside, but they don't know where I hid. Only other person who didn't catch it is Days Gina? Not using her dumbass hippie name. I see Gina or Gina's window from mine. She saw me and taped up a note, Keith, exclamation point, soldiers coming, run away. Fuck that. I'm not staying put and letting the experts handle this. Might write a song while I wait, if I can get my poor guitar back in tune. So wait a second. He's referred to as Keith in this letter, unless this Gina woman, has a different name for this character, right? Is his hippie name Keith, but he's actually Eddie? Who is this character, right? So you read this and you're like, how is this Richtofen? But what if they're really throwing us off here? A new version of Richtofen that is nothing like the scientist we knew from Black Ops 2, 3, and 4. Not even like the German Nazi from, Black Ops 1, right? What if he's such a different character now that we don't even recognize him, but maybe he'll look familiar somehow, right? Somewhat like an Eddie that we know, but this brings up an interesting point. If Eddie is this different in Black Ops Cold War, it almost asks for a recast, right? And I know nobody wants that. I want to see Nolan North come back 100%, but with the fact that so many people got recasted in Black Ops Cold War, right? Campaign characters and other people, wouldn't surprise me if this new Eddie is recasted and is played by somebody else entirely who may sound a little bit like Nolan North, but is going in a different direction with the take on the character. People would probably flip out about that, but hey, that's always a possibility. But it's also worth noting that the same actress that played Samantha since, I think it's Black Ops 1, she is back in Black Ops Cold War as the adult Samantha, so doing a different take on her fan favorite character, right? Which to me is awesome. Kind of gives a little bit of hope that Nolan North could come back and do a different take on Richtofen, but if he doesn't come back, maybe that TikTok was true. But something I've been saying for so long is don't take that TikTok as fact, maybe for launch, of course, but not for the DLC season, because think about it, right? We knew that Nolan North or Richtofen wouldn't be coming back for Die Maschine. That's obvious, right? He wasn't, in Black Ops 2, aside from announcer quotes and then in Origin, so what if they're just waiting to announce his return, or they're waiting to reintroduce a new Richtofen in this Dark Ether story? So, of course, at the time of launch of Black Ops Cold War, Nolan North wasn't on track to voice Richtofen again. So of course he said he wasn't coming back. That makes sense, but how does that account for the future and DLC? It doesn't. And even if he was coming back for Die Maschine, he wouldn't spoil that in a TikTok. So I wasn't sure why the TikTok got so much attention as if it was confirmed information, when even if he was returning, he wouldn't be able to say that. He's under NDA likely, right? So he wouldn't give it away in a TikTok. And if he's not coming back for Die Maschine and launch, doesn't mean that he can't come back later in the future, DLC 4 or DLC 5, 6, 7. Who knows how long this game is going to actually last in terms of seasons and DLC. We'll just have to wait and see. But that's Richtofen, right? So is this new hippie Richtofen known as Keith now? He changed his name because he didn't like the name Eddie. We also know that there was an alternate ending on Blood of the Dead, which I talked about many, many months ago. And the alternate ending essentially had Primus Richtofen not only weeping about, him being, the nicest one and whatnot, while he was dying and getting his blood sucked out of him, but he also mentioned Eddie from Dimension 2210, or how he had the strength to unfortunately sacrifice a child. So it's funny how Eddie has definitely played some type of a role, over the years, even though we haven't seen him much, but they've definitely thought about him behind the scenes, right? Treyarch has thought about incorporating Eddie a little bit more throughout cutscenes, dialogue, and whatnot. So I think they have Eddie in mind as a character they want to bring back at some point in the future. It's probably going to be a matter of time before we end up seeing the return of a Richtofen. And with that being said, too, in terms of locations for DLC, which I've covered before, what map makes the most sense to see Richtofen return on, right? We have a Vietnam Firebase Z map. It's probably unlikely. We have a Ural Mountains, Mount Yemantau Zombies map at some point. So I don't know about that one. Maybe, maybe not. We also have the Berlin map, the Kino der Toten supposed remake. That one's probably a little more likely. That's also where Sam was in the Machina intro. And we then have a Der Ries giant Germany-styled zombies map that we don't know much about. But yeah, those are 4 locations we know of right now. And I think if there's any likely location where Richtofen is probably going to come back, it's probably DLC 3, the Berlin map, if that is DLC 3. So we'll just see how that works out. Hopefully they give a good reason for recasting him if he is recast at some point, since, again, recasting Mason and Woods didn't really make sense in this game when it's a direct sequel to Black Ops 1, not a hard reboot like Modern Warfare was. So that was a bit confusing, but hopefully if they recast Richtofen, it makes some type of sense, whether it's, Eddie being a hippie now, having a different personality, sounding a bit different if he's not a scientist. Let's just see how that all makes sense in the end. But fingers crossed for Nolan North. We'd love to see him try a bit of a different take on a character he's been playing for the last decade. But again, the intel on Nuketown Zombies Onslaught is fascinating, right? Because Nuketown Zombies, or Nuketown itself, is of course Camp Edward, as we saw with an Alpha Omega. So it kind of does make sense that we get Eddie intel on a Nuketown Zombies experience, because Camp Edward's very important. But we do know that Nuketown in Black Ops Cold War is Site B. Site A, the original Nuketown, is of course nuked off in the distance. Site B is a bit different. I don't think Site B is Camp Edward, but it's at least close to it. So it kind of does make sense. It's a bit poetic to see, a hint at Eddie over on a Nuketown map. So I could see why they may have done this if this is Eddie intel. But leave all your thoughts on this down below in the comment section. This has been dkdynamite. Very fascinating intel that, again, we wouldn't know much more about if we didn't know the name of the intel, which is Eddie. So if we just read this without knowing that, it's just a hippie that got lost and somehow survived, the Nuketown Zombies Onslaught. But could be a very important character that we don't see much about until a future DLC. But really hope you enjoyed. Leave all your thoughts down below, and peace out, everyone.